There is a small cafe near the university where the corner booth faces a window instead of the room. Over the years I have noticed that people choose that seat when they are not quite ready to go home, but also not quite ready to be seen. Last autumn a colleague sat there alone one evening, her coat still buttoned, her coffee untouched and cooling. When I asked if she wanted company, she looked up and said something I have never forgotten. She said, "I am so tired of pretending I am not exhausted." It was not a complaint. It was closer to a confession, the kind that comes when you realize you have been holding yourself upright for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to actually rest. And what struck me most was not the exhaustion itself, but the exhaustion of managing the exhaustion, of performing strength when what you really need is permission to be exactly as tired as you are. This is the particular weight that comes not from one hard day, but from the accumulation of many, from carrying a load that no one else can see and that you yourself have learned to minimize. You wake tired. You work tired. You come home tired. And somewhere along the way, you stop saying it out loud because it feels like admitting failure, like proving you are not capable of what everyone else seems to manage without complaint. The exhaustion becomes something you hide, something you apologize for, something you push through with one more cup of coffee, one more forced smile, one more reassurance that you are fine when you are, in fact, running on fumes. And tonight, if you are searching for a way to stay steady when you are exhausted but need strength, I want to offer you something different from what you might expect. Not a call to push harder. Not a reminder of your resilience. But a small reframe about what strength actually looks like when you are too tired to pretend anymore. Old counsel would say this: the strength you need right now is not the strength to keep pretending. It is the strength to stop. To put down the performance. To admit, even if only to yourself, that you are tired, that this has been hard, that you have been carrying more than you should for longer than you meant to. There is an old idea that true discipline is not about forcing yourself forward at all costs, but about knowing when to pause, when to simplify, when to strip away what is not actually necessary so that you can protect what is. And what is necessary right now is not your ability to impress anyone. It is your ability to keep going in a way that does not break you. Let me tell you what I mean in practical terms. When you are exhausted but need strength, the first thing to understand is that most of what you think you need strength for is not actually required tonight. The email can wait. The explanation can wait. The decision, the plan, the fix, the performance of competence, all of it can wait. What cannot wait is the small honest action right in front of you. Eating something. Drinking water. Sitting down. Letting your shoulders drop. This is not laziness. This is triage. Old wisdom taught that when you are overwhelmed, you do not try to solve everything at once. You do the next small thing that is actually within your control, and you let everything else remain unsolved for now. You do not need strength to conquer the whole mountain tonight. You need strength to take one step, and then to stop. The second thing to understand is that exhaustion is not a moral failure. It is information. It is your body and mind telling you that something has been out of balance, that you have been spending more than you have been restoring, that the system needs attention. And instead of hearing that message, most of us have been taught to override it, to treat tiredness as weakness, to push through as if rest were something we earn only after we have proven ourselves worthy. But the old practical counsel would say this differently. It would say that rest is not a reward. It is a requirement. It is part of the work, not separate from it. And if you are too tired to think clearly, too tired to make good decisions, too tired to be kind to yourself, then resting is not optional. It is the most responsible thing you can do. I think of my colleague in that cafe corner, and what she said next. She told me she had been waking up at 5 in the morning for months, not because she needed to, but because she felt she should, because everyone else seemed to manage it, because she thought that was what serious people did. And every morning she felt worse, and every day she worked harder to hide how poorly she was functioning, and the gap between what she was doing and what she could actually sustain kept widening. And finally, that evening, she had simply stopped pretending. She had cancelled her evening plans. She had come to the cafe. She had sat in the corner and admitted, out loud, that she was tired. And the relief in her voice when she said it was so clear that I realized she had not let herself say those words in months. Here is the small reframe I want to offer you tonight. Staying steady when you are exhausted does not mean forcing yourself to keep moving at the same pace. It means choosing the pace that you can actually sustain. It means doing less, but doing it honestly. It means letting go of the version of yourself that you thought you were supposed to be, and tending to the version that actually exists right now, tonight, in this body, with this level of energy, with this particular load. Old teaching would call this the discipline of attention. Not attention to everything. Attention to what is real. And what is real right now is that you are tired, and that pretending otherwise is costing you more than it is helping. What would it look like to stop pretending, just for tonight? Maybe it looks like saying no to one thing you thought you had to do. Maybe it looks like going to bed early without justifying it. Maybe it looks like letting the dishes sit in the sink, letting the message go unanswered, letting the plan wait until tomorrow when you have the energy to think clearly. Maybe it looks like admitting to one person, or just to yourself, that you are not okay right now, and that this is not a permanent condition, but it is the condition you are in, and it deserves to be acknowledged. There is an old idea that dignity is not about appearing strong. It is about responding to reality with honesty. And the reality tonight is that you are exhausted, and the most dignified thing you can do is stop pretending otherwise. I want to be very clear about something. This is not about giving up. This is not about lowering your standards or abandoning your goals or deciding that nothing matters. This is about recognizing that you cannot do good work, or make good choices, or care for anyone else well, if you do not first care for the basic fact of your own tiredness. Old counsel taught that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and while that phrase has become common, the practice of it has not. The practice of it means stopping before you are completely empty. It means resting before you collapse. It means admitting you are tired before you are too tired to admit it. And if you are already at that point, then tonight is the night to stop, to put everything down, to let yourself be exactly as exhausted as you are without adding the exhaustion of pretending. Here is the counseling sentence I want you to carry with you. Strength, when you are too tired to pretend, is the quiet decision to stop performing and start tending. Not performing competence. Not performing resilience. Not performing fine. But tending to what is real. Tending to your body. Tending to your limits. Tending to the small honest actions that will help you wake up tomorrow a little less depleted than you are tonight. This is not dramatic. It is not inspiring in the way we have been taught to think of strength. But it is the strength that will actually carry you through, the strength that does not burn out, the strength that protects you instead of using you up. My colleague left the cafe that night without finishing her coffee. She said she was going home to sleep, and that she was not going to set an alarm. And when I saw her a week later, she looked different. Not perfect. Not rested in some complete way. But less hollow. Less brittle. She had started saying no to things. She had started going to bed when she was tired instead of when she thought she should. She had stopped trying to match everyone else's pace and had found her own. And she said something I think about often. She said, I did not realize how much energy I was spending just trying to look like I was not tired. So tonight, let yourself look tired. Let yourself be tired. Let the world see, or let no one see, but stop spending your last bit of energy on the performance. Do the one small thing that will help. Drink the water. Lie down. Turn off the light. Let the rest wait. Let the explanations wait. Let the guilt wait. You are not required to be strong in every way at every moment. You are only required to tend to what is real, and what is real tonight is that you are exhausted, and that the kindest, most dignified thing you can do is stop pretending otherwise and let yourself rest.